Um, I'm on my F1 visa. Currently, I'm pursuing a master's degree. I need to apply for a new H1B work permit upcoming year. Can you please explain me the process? Can you do that in a nutshell? I know it's a long process, but if you can, since you asked the question, we've been talking about taking the questions and answering them. So I'd love
Right.
to get this answered.
Yes. So if you are presently on some other status like an F1 or a H4, and you have never applied for a H1 before, you've never received a H1B approval before, then you are subject to the H1B cap. And if you are subject to the cap, then what you need to do is, as a first step, you need to register when the registration process opens up, which is usually in March. Around March 15th or March 20th is when the registration process usually opens up. During that time, your employer will have to register. It's a very simple process, um, that you fill out some basic information. You need your passport copy, and you need to submit a basic form which has your passport number, name, employer information, and then it's been a $10 fee for now. So we don't know if they're going to increase that fee, but as of now, it's a $10 fee that has to be paid for that process. So, and also it's important to understand that your employer should not file multiple registrations for you. They should only file one registration. Recently, we got a notice of intent to deny on a case where the employer did their registrations themselves, and by mistake, they registered for the same person twice. And while the system has become very clever now, that and the system will actually catch it. But in this case, the name was entered in a different order: first name, last name, middle name. So the system didn't catch it, and they registered twice for this person, and the registration got picked. And we sent out the H1, and then they sent out a notice of intent to deny, because there were two registrations for the same person. Even though it was something that was unintentional, still the H1 could not be approved and we had to withdraw it. So make sure your employer doesn't register twice for you. You, as a beneficiary, can register yourself with more than one employer. But if the new system kicks into place, you will still get only one pick at the Apple, because they will only look at your passport number, and based on the passport number they will register. So even if you register 10 times to 10 different employers, you will only get one pick in the visa lottery system. Hopefully that will be done this year. Otherwise, there was a lot of confusion last year when this was not done. But let's see. Let's wait and see. As of now, you can register multiple times, and you will get multiple picks, chances based on each registration that you do. But let's see what happens moving forward.
So
Um,
in the new
once
system, sorry, go
once
ahead.
you register, then uh, the result will come in by April, and then you will have 90 days to, if you get picked in that lottery, then you will have 90 days to process. Your employer will have 90 days to process your H1, and if it's not processed within that time, then you will lose that registration. Unfortunately, you will not be able to. You'll have to go through the entire process again next year.
Okay, so if assuming that the new H1B modernization program kicks in, so they will have only one unique registration irrespective of the number of jobs. So I was also reading the article, the publication. Now, if let's say, because it's only one person, every employer can petition. Now, what happens if multiple employers have still petitioned? Now there are 20, in 2023, based on the publication data, one person was filed 83 times. This is official data. Now, what happens if, how is this going to change if, there is one single beneficiary, but then they're going to invite, multiple employers to still file the H1? Wouldn't that be chaotic once again? How would that stop the problem?
So, based on this, the new proposed regulation NPRM, published in October, it's only proposed, remember, so there's a 60 days comment period, and then after that they'll decide. But with one of the proposed regulation changes was that with reference to registrations. So this particular aspect of NPRM, they might accelerate it. We don't know. Maybe they will publish a temporary regulation, which they are able to do without, going through the entire 60 days comment period, etc. But what they propose to do in the NPRM is that they will identify the registrations based on the passport number. So if one person registers 75 times like they did last time, they will only get one pick because they only have one passport number. So they will look at the unique and that's a unique identifiable number. So they will pick the lottery based on that number. So they will only get one pick like everybody else. And then once the registration, if it gets picked, then they can decide which H1B they want to file, or they can file for three H1Bs or five H1Bs also. But obviously, they cannot work. So this doesn't affect the registration process, doesn't affect the number of H1Bs, that can be filed under the registration, which is 85,000, right? So that doesn't affect that. So you can file multiple H1s, but it doesn't affect the number. So that's a good thing. So they can file, but of course, at the end of it, they can only have one H1B approval because can't work for multiple people unless they're filing concurrent. So they have to decide which H1B they want to keep. And and then we have to remember the last action rule, whatever H1 they file last will ultimately become their status even if they don't want it to, unless they withdraw that H1 before it actually gets approved. So there are all these issues to keep in mind. So it's better to stick, unless you think that there is some reason that you don't trust that employer that you're filing the H1 with, or you think that it might get denied, then you can, file another H1 as a backup, but you have to decide which one you want to keep before it gets approved to avoid
So,
confusion.
I do have a question here. Let's say three employers are filed, and all the three H1Bs are approved before the start date of October 1st. Now, how does the last action rule apply? And or uh, the beneficiary has a choice to choose between any of these three employers?
So the last action rule applies based on which petition they filed last. So if they filed a particular petition last, then that will become their H1B status. Um, but again, we could argue, and another thing to look into it is last action rule may not look as simple as it does in other cases because these are cap cases. So you can argue that the petition doesn't start as of until October 1st. So maybe the last action rule won't even apply here in this situation because
Okay.
everything is starting on October 1st. So everything starts at that time. So it'll be interesting to see how they will look at these kind of cases, because last action rule may not apply because everything starts on October 1st. So something to keep in mind and look into. So I would say, in order to avoid all this confusion, withdraw the H1B before it gets approved. Don't file premium processing, so it give you time to withdraw it. Once you get the H1B that you want approved, withdraw the other H1B petitions. But again, you have to remember this is not in your hands because the employer is filing the petition and only they can withdraw it. So you're really causing a lot of confusion for yourself if you are the beneficiary, if you're applying for more than one H1B petition at a time.
Okay, Divya, I hope your question is answered in somewhat details. I know this is a very long topic. She
Right.
needs probably hours to go through the entire process. But then,
I think
if
we
you
answered more than her question. We had a whole discussion around it. Yeah,
so
it could be
when
useful.
the time comes, if you need an attorney service, Prashanti can be reached at 212-354-1010, readyesq.com. You could just log on to their website, and if you have an employer, you can always request the employer to connect with her to seek her professional services.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 833-412-8472 or mail us at support@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.